I didn't tell anyone I was going. Even at the airport, sitting with my small suitcase tucked against my leg, I kept my plans folded inside me like a letter I wasn't ready to send. He had called a week before, his voice lighter than usual, almost careful. "See you at Christmas, Mom." It had been years since he said something like that without hesitation. I didn't ask questions. I didn't want to give him space to take it back. The flight was delayed, then delayed again. Around me, families shifted between irritation and laughter. Children slept across chairs. Announcements echoed in loops. I watched the departure board as if it might change its mind about my life. Somewhere between the second and third delay, I started noticing the gaps in his promise. He hadn't said when to arrive. He hadn't asked how long I'd stay. But hope has a way of editing memory. I kept the version that felt like an invitation. By the time I reached his city, it was already evening, cold enough that my breath lingered in front of me as I stood outside his building. I didn't call. I thought it might feel more natural if I just showed up. Like before, he opened the door quickly, like he had been watching through the peephole. For a moment, neither of us spoke. His face held recognition, but not warmth. Something measured. "Mom." I smiled. I didn't want to miss Christmas. He didn't move aside. There was a pause long enough to understand everything before he said it. "My wife, she doesn't want strangers at dinner." Strangers. It didn't echo. It settled. I looked past him, just briefly. I could see part of the dining table, 2 plates, soft light, a life already arranged without me. "I understand," I said, and I did, in a way that had nothing to do with agreement. He nodded, relieved too quickly. "Maybe next time we can plan it better. Next time." I adjusted the handle of my suitcase. It made a small clicking sound that seemed louder than it should. "Of course," I said. He closed the door gently. Not slammed, not ashamed enough for that. Just closed. I stood there for a few seconds longer than necessary, not waiting, just letting the moment finish happening. Then I walked back to the street. I didn't go to a hotel right away. I found a bench across from the building, set my bag down, and took out a piece of paper from inside my purse. It was something I had brought just in case, though I hadn't admitted that to myself. I wrote slowly, not to explain, not to accuse, just to leave something that couldn't be interrupted. When I was done, I folded it once, then again, and slipped it into his mailbox. No name on the outside. Then I left. The next few days were quiet. I stayed in a small hotel near the station, kept the television on more for noise than for watching. I didn't expect anything to follow. Some decisions don't echo immediately. On the third day, my phone started ringing. I didn't recognize the number. I let it ring out, then it rang again, and again. By the fourth call, I answered. "Hello, is this Mrs. Rahman?" "Yes, this is building management from your son's residence. We found a note. It was brought to our attention by one of the residents." I didn't say anything. "There's been some concern raised," the voice continued, careful but firm. "The note mentioned you had traveled a long distance and were unable to access the residence. Given the circumstances and some prior records of listed occupants, we needed to clarify the situation." Prior records. I closed my eyes briefly. Of course, my name had been on that apartment years ago. Before he asked me to remove it, said it would be simpler for his new life. "I'm not seeking access," I said quietly. "We understand. However, this has become visible. The tenants have been contacted. There may be further follow-up." Visible. After the call ended, the phone didn't stop. This time it was him. I let it ring twice before answering. "Mom, why didn't you tell me you left that note?" His voice was different now. Tighter, not softer, just aware. "I didn't think I needed to," I said. "You wrote about coming all this way, about not having a place to go. People are asking questions." I looked out the window of the hotel room. The street below moved as usual. No one looked up. "I wrote what happened," I said. "You made it sound." He stopped himself. "This could affect things. The lease." He didn't finish. There it was. Not apology, not regret, consequence. "I didn't intend anything," I said. "I just didn't want to carry it back with me." There was silence on the other end. For a moment, I thought he might say something real, something that belonged to us, not to the situation. But he didn't. "I'll fix it," he said finally. "Just don't talk to anyone else." I almost smiled at that. "I haven't talked to anyone," I said, "until you called." Another pause. Longer this time. "I have to go," I added gently. Before he could respond, I ended the call. The room felt the same as before. Nothing had shifted inside it, but something outside had not repaired. Not resolved. Just seen. I packed my bag that evening. Took my time. Folded everything carefully, the way I always had. At the airport the next morning, there were no delays. No expectations either. Just a departure that didn't need to be explained.